The audience was gasping. They were repulsed as Donald Trump gave a speech at the World Economic Forum, which took place in Davos, Switzerland. Now, Trump appeared virtually when he gave his speech and answered questions. During Donald Trump's speech, he talked about annexing Canada, making it the 51st state, or else he would punish Canada and impose very serious tariffs on them if they didn't become a state, he said. And then when he was asked if by next year's World Economic Forum in Davos, you expect there to be a peace deal in Ukraine, Donald Trump, who previously promised there would be peace in 24 hours, he then said that he was not able to do it. He then said that you should maybe have Xi Jinping negotiate it. Here, when Donald Trump was asked, will there be peace next year, what Trump's response was, well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Now, here's the thing, folks. I think this is so newsworthy. I have to show you the clips. I'm only going to show you 2 clips, though, of Trump. So you have to be able to see it and hear it. I can't have us turn a blind eye to it. So here's what Trump said about Russia. Let's play this clip.
Mr. President, when you're back here in Davos next year, will there be then a peace agreement with Ukraine and Russia by then?
Well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Ukraine is ready to make a deal. Just so you understand, this is a war that should have never started. If I were president, it would never have started.
I mean, it's utterly horrific. And here's what Donald Trump said about Canada. Let's play it.
I think we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years. And it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, just as an example.
All right. No more clips of him. You get the point. Let me just report on the rest of what went down. Donald Trump then said one of his big initiatives is stopping transgender, he says. He says transgender operations have become all the rage, and now they will occur very rarely, he says. He then goes on to say, with oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us. As we wrote on the MeidasTouch social media accounts, every time he opens his mouth, he shows he has no idea how anything works. Can't demand that interest rates drop. I guess you can say anything you want, but that's a function of our Federal Reserve. Then what, you're going to demand that the world follow it? And also the price of oil is not related there too, but everything he says just shows he's got absolutely no clue what he's talking about. He then says this in front of the crowd in Davos. He goes, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation. I just want you to understand the context of how utterly humiliating this is for the United States of America. Our enemies are laughing. Our allies are horrified. He's going that we were not a free nation before. I mean, think about how he's undermined the real freedom here in the United States. And he's basically saying that, one of the things he's going to encourage are lies about diseases, lies about international affairs, lies about him, and that there shouldn't be any fact checking to those lies. And the fact that he said America's not a free nation before him, it's just so utterly dystopian. He then goes on to say, heap more praise on President Putin. He goes, in fact, with President Putin, prior to an election, which was frankly ridiculous, he's referring to the 2020 election, we were talking about denuclearization of our two countries, and China would have come along. And I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear. So again, I want you to see what's going on here. So Donald Trump is attacking our ally Canada, threatening to annex it, and then he's buying Putin propaganda and praising Putin and Xi Jinping that they want to denuclearize. But he just couldn't get the deal done during his 4 years. And then he's again lying about the 2020 election and complaining and whining and saying, frankly, it's ridiculous. And again, now he's doing this on an international stage, which is, again, just incredibly humiliating for our country. More attacks on Canada. He talks about a tremendous deficit with Canada. He talks about how we don't need you. We don't need your lumber. We don't need your oil. We don't need your gas. We have our own forests. He says that's how Donald Trump is talking about this issue. And by the way, to the premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, he's mocking you here as she keeps on posting, we're going to do deals with the United States. She's the right-wing conservative leader of Alberta. She's Maple MAGA. But it's just so humiliating because Trump just keeps on showing how pathetic it is that she's like begging and begging and begging like this. Then Trump says this to the Bank of America CEO. Trump goes, I hope you start opening your bank to conservative. By the way, this is in front of the Economic Forum. Like, again, how embarrassing. I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank. And that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie, referring to Jamie Dimon, and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives because what you're doing is wrong. What the hell are you talking about? Banks are not closed to conservatives. And again, are you talking about felons? Are you talking about banks debanking terrorists and felons? Is that what you're saying here? And by the way, yesterday, remember what Jamie Dimon said? Jamie Dimon said that a little bit of inflation doesn't really matter anymore because what we really need to focus on is national security and not inflation. Well, you're going to end up hurting both. A very shameful statement by Jamie Dimon right there. Absolutely pathetic.
A few months back, I gave my father-in-law MD hearing aids. I saw him recently and he was hearing so much better. This podcast is sponsored by MD Hearing. MD Hearing makes high-quality, easy-to-use, rechargeable hearing aids with exceptional sound quality that are personalized to your hearing profile and cost a fraction of what typical hearing aids cost. MD Hearing's Neo model costs over 90% less than clinic hearing aids. The Neo fits right inside your ear, so no one will even know that it's there. Plus, MD Hearing just launched the Neo XS, MD Hearing's smallest hearing aid ever. MD Hearing recently cut their price in half. That means you can get high-quality, rechargeable digital hearing aids for only $297 a pair. My father-in-law and uncle have been using MD hearing aids for a while now, and they swear by them. My uncle especially told me that MD hearing aids are, quote, the best hearing aid I have ever used at any price point. MD Hearing was founded by an ENT surgeon who saw how many of his patients needed hearing aids but couldn't afford them. He made it his mission to develop a quality hearing aid that anyone could afford. MD Hearing has sold over 2 million hearing aids, and they offer a 45-day risk-free trial with a 100% money-back guarantee, so you can buy with confidence. Still on the fence about MD Hearing? They were just selected to be a hearing aid supplier for top Medicare Advantage plans, so they're a brand that you can trust. Get the high-quality hearing aids you deserve with MD Hearing. Go to shopmdhearing.com and use promo code Meidas to get a pair of hearing aids for just $297. Plus, they're adding a free extra charging case, a $100 value, just for listeners of the MeidasTouch podcast. That's shopmdhearing.com and use our promo code Meidas and get a pair of hearing aids for just $297.
Donald Trump attacks Canada even more. Donald Trump attacks the EU on behalf of his tech oligarchs. He then says, like, the EU, they took these cases with Apple and Google and these other countries, and the European Union won 15 or 16 billion dollars from these companies, and now they're going after Facebook for billions of dollars. These are American companies. Stay away from them, EU. Praising Putin, attacking the European Union, our allies. As Aaron Rupert says, Trump carps for Zuck and others days after they bankroll and attend his inauguration. Then Donald Trump says, my administration has taken actions to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. And that's what he's saying to an international audience, that any type of diversity, equity, and inclusion, that it's a bunch of nonsense. That's how he's representing America internationally. And then he goes, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, fantastic guy. He's going to give us $1 trillion. I want him to invest $1 trillion. By the way, you remember what happened yesterday as well, where Trump brought in these executives who handle AI, and Elon Musk then attacked it and said he brought in Matayoshi's son, Larry Ellison, and Sam Altman, tech bro AI people. And they said they were going to invest $500 billion. And Elon Musk's like, they don't have $500 billion. This is just made up numbers. Why don't you say $1 trillion? So Trump's like, bet. $1 trillion. MBS is going to give us $1 trillion. Here's what happened. That's what went down at the Economic Forum today, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 500,000 followers.